game we want to talk about here. Massive implications. This is the one that everyone's going to be watching. This is going to be a good one. Bengals at Steelers. This game is taking place at 8 p.m. on Saturday.
I love that.
Yes.
I
Night
love
game,
that.
prime
That's
time.
the best.
So I think this is the first time in history that a team's actually played 5 primetime road games. The Cincinnati Bengals, 5 primetime road games. That's pretty crazy. Joe Shiesty. Must watch TV right now.
You're not wrong. Right now, you're not like the shit that he's doing right now is entertaining, man.
It is, and this can be a good game, man. Like I said, I just want to go out on top against the Steelers. Like, I don't care what else happens. Just I need Zach Taylor to show me.
The Steelers.
Yeah, I need Zach Taylor to show me that he can win a game.
Well, you go above 500 then, and it makes you feel a little bit better about this season. Just didn't quite get it done early. So we'll see how this all plays out.
And that's okay. Like we have a lot of that shit we can talk about later on coaching staff and changes that need to be made and who's responsible for these things. But this is a show me game. I need it because last game I told you I just need to see something from Zach. I don't necessarily think I saw what I wanted to see from Zach. Saw everything from Burrow and the boys, but Zach is still. I need to see some calls where I'm like, fuck, that was a good call. That was the right call. That's what I want to see, and I need to see them close this game out. So, a couple injuries on our side. Chase Brown, monitoring that. Not sure if he's going to play, but these are big things. Now, me and you have kind of discussed this game in length on the side of some bets that we wanted to take. So I want to get you kind of your thoughts on how you think this game is going to go, and then I can kind of add my points and what do you think the play is here?
Absolutely. We've talked about this. Completions for Joe Burrow is almost near automatic this season. Like he has been.
Feels like it.
It feels like it because it is. Like his stat line for the completions overall, and it's at, what's it at? I think it's high though, right? Like
right now it's 25 and a half right now. It actually came down from 26.
Oh, nice. So 26 and a half is his regular line throughout the season here. So 25 and a half is even juicier. I wonder why that is. That's a little sneaky. I don't know.
So I'm trying to monitor the storylines here to keep up with that.
Yes.
I think we have a good opportunity here, and I talked to you about this.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I'll pull up some of the stats here quick. So we talked about the line, Joe Burrow completions being 25 and a half. And then we can look at kind of his game log for the season, and we go to completions. Joe Burrow's had only 6 games where he's thrown under that number. Everything has been 26 plus completions. And when you look at those numbers that are those are the games that happened in September and October when the Bengals were having a rough stretch. Joe Burrow, the offense was struggling. But when you look at the rest of these, it's all 26 plus completions. And then on the other side of things, the spicy take here is the over on completions, but the under on passing attempts. And the reason I want to outline that is we talked about Joe Burrow's efficiency, right? He is the most accurate in the league currently right now, and he has one of the highest completion percentages. So when I go over to the attempts, the attempt line right now currently is 49 and a half. And I look at the game script and I go, okay, we know Joe Burrow's dialed in. He is throwing at a massive rate and completing passes at a massive rate. But when we look at the attempts and who they're playing in the game script, first thing being Pittsburgh is one of the top teams in the slowest pace of play. So therefore, I expect the game to be slowed down a little bit and more time taken off the clock just based on the way Pittsburgh plays. Another thing, too, is based on Pittsburgh's ability to rush the passer, I do think they may steal a few more possessions as opposed to a team like the Broncos did, right? Based on that, I expect him to have less pass attempts in total. And when we look at the line from when they played Pittsburgh last time, his completions, 28, which would be over. His attempts, 38, which would be under. Similar narrative here. Now, I expect this game to be a little bit tighter, but you also have the fact that, one, they have to win the game. Jamar Chase is chasing the Triple Crown, and this could potentially be the last time T. Higgins plays. Joe Burrow will be throwing and completing passes. So I do think the play here is Joe Burrow completions over and under on the passing attempts. And even if, Pittsburgh wants to rest their guys at the end, that even aids in the fact that they don't have to throw at the end if they have this game locked up. But
so I'll give you an additional stat to this. So on the opening lines that they've set for Joe Burrow throughout the season, he is currently 9-7 on the opening line for the pass attempts. When you break that down to the same question for the completions, I pull this up here, he is 11-5 on his completions. Mm-hmm. So when we're talking about over and we're talking about under, 11-5. When you look at the last game since week 8, he's currently 8 of 9 over on his completions. Yes. He has been locked in. It is not the same stat line for pass attempts. So I think this is actually a juicy pick here. I will be running this with you. This is absolutely one of those things. He has been dialed in the last half of the season. It's just been incredible to watch. The lines they've been setting for him, opening lines, have been lower. So that's something to kind of monitor as things go along. That 25.5 is actually pretty nice, all things considered. But his opening line has actually been sitting more around the 24.5 mark. And it's creeped into that 25.5. It has not been as high as 26.5 as we saw it earlier. So the fact that it creeped back to 25.5 gives me a little hope that we're looking at a good situation here.
Yes, and we did the math as well. When you look at Joe Burrow, his completion percentage currently on the season, 69.8. When you do the math with the attempts and
their odds,
yes, their odds as well. The math, they're essentially assuming that he's going to be shooting underneath 64%. His average. Yeah. So I'm going to side with the fact that Joe Burrow has been hitting his completion percentage that high on a consistent basis, and it's been heavily in the last slate of games that he's had. And for them to project him to have such a drop in his completion percentage, I don't see how that checks out with the way that he's playing.
Yeah, the way we looked at it was like basically right now the projected line was 64% was going to be his completion percentage, which is lower than his season average. And then when you couple that with the game against the Steelers prior, that game he was 73%. So you bring those two numbers together and you really factor in the pass attempt situation as well and the other things that you just said, this does bode well for the over and the under working together here.
Yes, and the one thing I wanted to look at was Joey Porter Jr. is playing for Pittsburgh on the weekend. I know he's banged up. He missed a couple games. Dante Jackson is questionable, but the last time the Bengals played Pittsburgh, T. Higgins had his way with Joey Porter Jr. Now, I know that Pittsburgh is obviously playing with a little bit more pride here now. There's going to be a lot on the table, but like I said, you're not going to stop Joe Burrow in this passing game. Completions are going to be there. It's the passing attempts. I do believe it's not going to be a shootout from that sense. I think the pace of play is going to slow down against this Pittsburgh Steelers team. So lock it in. Joe Burrow over pass attempts, over pass completions, under on the pass attempts. Beautiful. Love that. Don't you just love dissecting?
And at this point, you might as well throw in 3 touchdowns on that play as well, because that's just what this guy's been fucking doing for the last 9 weeks.
Consistently. Yeah. So there will be a couple variations I'll be sticking together with that one.
For sure.
Because I do like that, but just lock in the completions. I think that number is an easy play. Joe Burrow will get to that number for sure. So I'm excited to watch this game, man. I'm stoked. This is going to be some good football on a Saturday evening. And I'm hoping my boys show up and Joe Burrow, closes out the season on a high note here. But let's get into some of these other games. So moving on to the Sunday slate, not a whole lot. Did anything stand out to you prop-wise with some of these games?